first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us. We are live streaming here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, as we do every weekday, starting at 1 p.m., covering a wide range of topics. And I'm glad you can be a part of this, whether you're watching live or afterward. Don't forget to download the Fox 12 Oregon apps. Right now, though, we're talking about something you can do if you're watching live coming up this weekend, which is on Friday and Saturday. And I am talking about the Portland Wrestling Expo. Wrestling in this region, the Pacific Northwest, has a very storied history and past and obviously a present as well. And I think all that's going to be part of this coming up. And we're going to be talking about it right now with Nicholas Masci, the host and producer of the Expo. And Nick, thanks for having some time to join us today. I appreciate that. And, I want to start off just by talking about maybe how you got into putting on a wrestling expo. How did you get involved with this? And, maybe what was your draw to wrestling to begin with?
Sure. So like so many people involved in the wrestling industry, I grew up a fan. And even though the expo is happening, of course, in the Northwest on Saturday, I'm born and raised in the New York area. And I just grew up watching WWF wrestling. And over my formative years, I started getting more curious and learning more about pro wrestling. And as I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate all the different professional wrestling that happened before that national expansion of the WWF. And about for the last 10 years or so, I started working in the signing field, the memorabilia field, specifically professional wrestling. So I have about 100 plus signings a year. My company is Captain's Corner. And the reason this event started actually is I'm very good friends with the grappler Len Denton, who will be one of the featured guests at the expo on Saturday. And I was just having a casual conversation with him that this year is actually 100 years of Portland wrestling. And I had asked Len if anything like that had happened in the area, and Len said it hadn't. So that kind of got the ball rolling. I talked to a few other people, including Fox 12's Joe V, and they kind of gave me some hints on maybe when not to promote a show and when to promote a show. And one thing led to another. This has been at this point almost a full year of planning, and it's coming to reality this Saturday at the Holiday Inn Portland Airport.
Man, 100 years of wrestling in the Pacific Northwest. We have had the Grapplers been here on this show before, actually, and of course, Joe V used to be the host of Portland Wrestling, and then now going to be out there this weekend as well for some hosting and some moderating of those events. So when you look at this, when you go about, I guess for people who are going to attend, let's say this, for people who are fans of wrestling in general and Portland wrestling, what is it that they can expect from an expo like this?
Well, this is the first of its kind in the Portland area and even the Pacific Northwest. This is a wrestling-focused convention with the specialty being the past, present, and future of Pacific Northwest wrestling. The Portland 100 panel is going to be one of the features on Saturday afternoon. It's going to be hosted by Joe V, and it's going to talk about 100 years of Portland wrestling. It's going to talk about the Owens family. It's going to talk about current-day wrestling. It's going to have a great question and answer session. The Grappler is going to be a part of that. Mean Mike Miller, Top Gun, Ricky Santana. And that day is actually kicked off with a convention. And what the convention is that's where everyone can go around and, take a photo or purchase an autograph of their favorite talent and, have some small talk. But the atmosphere is going to be like a big family reunion at the Holiday Inn Portland Airport. And being that it's the first of its kind, there's no guarantee that it may happen again. So this is going to be the largest collection of wrestlers from the Owens family in one area in 30 years. And a lot of the up-and-coming talent in the area are going to be there that day, too. So it's a good collection of, like I said, the past, present, and future of Portland wrestling.
And it seems like it's a place where, as you mentioned, you can walk around, you can mill around, you can meet some of these guys, whether they're legends or newcomers, and actually interact with them. What do you think it is, because you talked about you growing up and getting drawn into wrestling. I mean, myself as well. I watched it all growing up and loved it. What do you think it is about wrestling that still to this day, draws people into it, into the stories, into the things that go on with it, whether it's local or national?
I think people are invested in stories, whether it's, Marvel, DC, your comic books, you like to have your heroes, you like to have your villains. And in pro wrestling, even today, that's something that's so prevalent. You can see maybe that hero that reminds you of something in you or something maybe you want to be. Just like you see that bad guy, he reminds you of maybe like authority figure of someone you've got a problem with in school, or maybe you just don't like his face. As simple as that. And I feel like it calls to everyone, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people during their formative years. And then when we go back and we reminisce, we get a little older, you kind of like to go back and get that feeling of nostalgia every now and then. And I think that's why, especially since when the pandemic started, there was a big increase in professional wrestling signings, memorabilia, so on and so forth, because I think people started getting nostalgic for maybe the past and the better days in the past. And I think pro wrestling has that draw. As young as 3 and 4 when we're first learning and we're first watching things to I regularly see people in their 70s at the conventions. I'm sure there'll be people in their 70s out that are looking to meet their favorites that they hadn't seen before, maybe hadn't seen in years. So I think it's that connection to good and evil, that connection to the character that you see on TV, and once it's connected to you, it doesn't go anywhere. It's hard to detach from pro wrestling once it's in you.
Right, and talking about those wrestlers too, and just the ability of them to bring that to life. I mean, you mentioned about the villain or the heel. I mean, if somebody who's in that role can do it just with their face, like one scowl at the audience or something, I mean, that's fantastic. That's some good work right there. Or let alone, just egging people on and getting people riled up. And talking about that, you mentioned there's going to be a lot of wrestlers there, and I know I've got some of them right here on some of these signs. So tell us about some of these people that are going to be there. You mentioned the grappler, but I know I'm pretty sure I saw that there's a bushwhacker that's going to be there as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we led with the grappler, Len Denton, the person that really helped push this concept, get the ball rolling. The night before, so the expo is Saturday the 22nd. Now, all events are taking place at the Holiday Inn Portland Airport, and people can head over to pwexpo.com and learn more about specific ticket prices. But it all kicks off on Friday night at the Holiday Inn. And we've got 2 events that Friday night. There's live pro wrestling at 7 o'clock. And then at 9 o'clock, the grappler, who was a longtime standout in the Pacific Northwest, he's having a one-man show. And it's going to be a 60-minute informal session of a bunch of stories that he's maybe telling for the first time in a while, followed by a 30-minute interactive Q&A to where anybody in attendance will be able to ask the grappler a question. Maybe something that sparked a question in their mind from one of his stories, or maybe something they've always wanted to ask him. So that is our Friday night schedule. And between the live wrestling and the grappler show, I feel like that really sets the table for the expo itself on Saturday morning, starting at 10 a.m.
And for people who are showing up, you mentioned signings and things like that. Should they go there expecting to buy some memorabilia or shop for some memorabilia, or can they bring in things as well? Just to clarify that for anybody at home.
Absolutely. So there are additional prices for autographs and photographs, but people bring their own items all the time. Whether it's maybe a photograph they took with someone a long time ago, whether it's a book. You brought up the Bushwhacker. There'll be a Bushwhacker Luke books available for purchase this Saturday. It's a fantastic book. It just came out last year. We will have copies available to purchase and get signed. And then some people just want a photograph. That's available too for a nominal fee. But yeah, we're going to have an assortment of vendors. The Northwest is fantastic when it comes to wrestling historians. And there's going to be a bunch of historians out there, with their books they've written about the history of Pacific Northwest wrestling or specific biographies about talent. The Grappler's got a book that's going to be featured both on Friday and Saturday at the expo. And I think that, people, no matter what you're looking for, whether it's a figure, whether it's a book, if you're just looking for a photograph, you'll have those opportunities. We've even got Cairo LLC. They'll be there giving people advice on health and wellness and taking care of their body. So it's going to be a fun afternoon, a fun day, and you get a little of everything at the expo.
I love it. Well, and for everybody out there who wants to attend or find out more, what's the best place for them to go?
Sure. They can go to pwexpo.com. That's pwexpo.com. And tickets will be on sale through that website until Saturday morning. And then if there are tickets still available, we will have general admission. And we're almost sold out on VIP, but there should be tickets available at the door starting at 9 a.m. You'll be able to pick up tickets starting at 9 a.m. on Saturday the 22nd.
All right, well, there we go. People can go check that out. 100 years of Pacific Northwest wrestling. I mean, that's a pretty incredible achievement just on its own, and a celebration there of that and so much more coming up this weekend. Well, Nick, thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg. Glad you're able to have me on and talk a little about the expo. Thank you for your time, and maybe I'll see you this Saturday at the Portland Wrestling Expo.
Oh yeah, there's a good chance. Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, thanks, Nick. And for everybody watching, too, again, we are live streaming here out of the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, as I mentioned. If it's your first time watching, thanks for doing so. We have lots of interviews and things for you to check out at kptv.com under the Fox 12 Now tab or the Fox 12 Oregon app. Just hit the Fox 12 Now tab on there as well, and you scroll through and check out all the different things that we have. But thanks for joining us. I will talk to you soon.